Welcome from the Professors of Property. I'm Andrew Roberts and I'm joined here with David Clouter. And in our last video, we talked about how property price crashes are normally caused. Now, in this video, David and I are going to discuss why we think the market crash will be in 2021. And in a future video, we will pin the tail on the donkey for you of exactly when. So David, moving on, why do you think there will be a crash in 2021? I mean, is it COVID? Is it, well, you tell me. We've got Brexit coming up on the horizon, so I mean, it could be all number of things.
We've got a number of things. I mean, very often crashes are caused by one single occurrence, whether it's Britain crashing out of the exchange rate mechanism or whatever, it's by withdrawal of a tax break like MIRAs, or whether it's the securitized assets that we were talking about earlier. But now we've got a multiplicity of factors, and you might argue that any one of them, had they happened, would have been enough to cause a crash. So let's start with this pandemic, which is still on everybody's minds, and still at the time of making this video, still very much in evidence. And as I think we alluded to earlier, there are certain sectors directly hit by that, and that would include, I don't know, air travel, tourism, theme parks, hotels, restaurants, bars, sport. Non-essential stores, which for a while were actually even closed, people then got out of the habit of going to them. Cinemas, TV and movie sets, which is an unusual one, but because we see these things, they hit the cinemas or the TV screens months after they were filmed. So the famine in TV shows and so forth comes a bit later on, but it does come because that they were just as isolated. The performing arts have been particularly badly hit. And dentists, at a time when there's an airborne virus, it's not so much fun sitting in the chair with all those fine particles floating around. Clothing stores, and I haven't been to the casino much recently either. So across that wide range of sectors, people have been losing their jobs. There's no doubt about this. And that means that they haven't been able to spend money with firms in some of the sectors which weren't affected. So because there's such a sort of wide drop in consumer spending, it is inevitable, I think, that the economy is going to be impacted very severely. And normally there is a link between the money economy, the employment economy, and the property economy. So I think properties are going to be affected. I think we're starting to see the early cracks now along the lines that you described earlier, of people starting to drop their prices a little bit and the offers not coming in so much as they were in July, even just in the space of 2 months.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, you've picked up a number of sectors there. And in air travel, British Airways, EasyJet, Ryanair have all announced restructuring job losses. Virgin Airlines have. Tourism's really struggling, although the Staycation has actually turned into a bit of a mini boom, with places advertising themselves available to rent for £1,500 a night. Unheard of. But then you've got hotels and restaurants and bars. Now, what's interesting amongst a lot of these, like the amusement parks, the air travel, hotels, restaurants, bars, a lot of them, especially the national chains, the cinemas as well, casinos, rely upon external debt, which generally is taken out in the form of bonds and every 5 years renewed. Now, if there's a tightening of money supply, as we've just said, by the lenders, and predictions such as air travel, I was reading a report which British Airways were quoting that business travel is the thing that keeps them going, and they're predicting a fall off a cliff in business travel. That's going to cause them to need to fundamentally restructure their business. That's going to cause profits to slide. If profits slide, bondholders don't want to renew bonds. Therefore, the financial implications of that are going to cause more people to lose jobs and perpetuate a downward spiral. So, I mean, where do we go from here, David? I mean, come on, let's not be doom and gloom.
Well, that's why we have governments who make interventions in these kind of things, and they're the steady hand on the tiller, aren't they? Really, and they have already done things to make things right, and I'm sure that they will continue to respond quickly to changes in the economy in the way that they did with COVID, by furloughing people, by providing bounce back loans and other loans for companies and this kind of thing, and that's why we have governments, and we don't necessarily agree with everything they do. But in times of crisis, they are able to put all hands on deck, which is a terrific thing. And speaking of which, we've got Brexit coming up, haven't we?
We certainly have. To Brexit or not to Brexit? How shall it happen?
Indeed so. And we seem to have Brexited now, so there's no going back on that one. And we are heading towards this, cliff, really, in our sports car, sailing along at high speed, singing jolly songs. And the negotiations were a bit tricky to start with, just all things being equal. But the fact that they can only do it now on a Zoom call, I assume, every now and again, makes it even harder when the two positions are quite entrenched and quite far apart. There might be an element of a poker game going on here to see who blinks first. There might not be. Worst case scenario, we exit with WTO rules, and that is going to affect a lot of companies as well, I think.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting one. I mean, I think I'm not getting political here, but drop a comment if you agree or disagree with me. I think, David, from a Brexit point of view, we hear what the politicians say, and the politicians suck through the teeth and they make lots of chests bumping and posturing with each other. But the reality is, as business people, I just want to get on and do business. I don't care about the politicians, and I will find a way of doing business. If they say we can't play ball games, tell you what, I'll get a shuttlecock out and I'll play badminton. I'll get some skis out, roller skates out, and I'll play a different game. But I will find a way of doing business. So I think it's a little overblown, bit controversial, but business people will get on and do business. And I have trading businesses, as you know. I trade across the globe, and I've spoken to my suppliers and they've said, we've no intentions of not doing business with you. We intend to keep doing business because we don't want to lose a customer. So yes, I think there's a lot of posturing from politicians, but the reality is the world will just get on. They're in their own mini microcosm.
I agree with you, Andrew. You know, business is business. I have to tell you, I'll let you into a little secret here. I've bought a chest freezer, but I'm doing a bit more shopping every week than usual. I'm not going to go in there, and just throw the system into chaos, but buying a little bit extra because just in case. I think any disruptions from Brexit are likely to be very short-lived, couple of months, and then it will, as you say, be business as usual. But I don't want to run out of cheese in the meantime.
Well, David, that sounded very pessimistic about the crash coming in 2021. In our next video, I'm going to quiz you on how confident you are that this is going to happen. So it's thank you from me, Andrew Roberts.
And thank you from me, David Clouter.